Hi, it's Liz, CEO of Worth It, positive psychologist and educator in the field of well-being, specifically working with schools to prevent the onset of mental health problems developing in children and young people. Today, I'm going to be talking about kindness because we have World Kindness Day coming up on the 13th of November. And we have a kindness blog on our website, and it's one of the most popular blogs on our website. It's 10 ideas for World Kindness Day. And some schools that we work with do actually do like inset days or special mental health days on World Kindness Day, which is Monday this year, on Monday the 13th of November, where they're focusing on doing kind acts for each other because it improves well-being and it's part of their wider mental health strategy or approach to developing mental health. So I'm going to talk a lot more about kindness, what it means to children, what it means to young people, why it's important for school well-being, and some suggestions of how to do some kindness interventions. Now, if you want to have more details on this, I'm going to be running a free workshop in November. So sign up below. There is going to be a link in the notes below on the YouTube video, so sign up below, and if you watch this after that time, don't worry, you can look at the blog on the Kindness Day activities and see what other resources or workshops you can sign up for. The kindness one is a time limited one. So what is kindness? So you'd think you'd know what that means, wouldn't you? So I was like, yeah, I know what that means. And then I started to read the academic research around kindness interventions and how they improve well-being. And it's a lot more nuanced and there's a lot more to it than you initially think. And as usual, it's different for teenagers than it is for children. And it's different again for adults. And what we can do is we can look at things through an adult lens, and we can assume through our adult brains that our conceptualization of what kindness is and how people are kind to one another is the same for teenagers and it's the same for children, but it's not. So it's really important to have this nuanced understanding. So general definitions of kindness are that it's driven by compassion and or concern for others. So we're kind because we're compassionate people or we're concerned for other people. And it can be people that we know, or it can be more altruistic things like charitable acts or, charitable giving, or those, working with animal shelters or anything like that. So I am referring to notes because what I've done is I've read a lot of research and I've pulled together some key points. So if you see me reading notes, it's because I have not memorized all of this new theory. So yeah, bear with me. So kindness is expressed by doing favors or good deeds or caregiving generally. So we know someone's kind because they do favors for people. And I think they do favors without thinking they're going to get something back. So I just do it because I want to do it, not because I'm going to get a favour back in return. And we do good deeds for other people because it makes us feel good and because it makes the other person feel good. And that's why kindness can have a knock-on effect to our well-being levels. Or we are just showing that we're very caring people, that we listen, we have empathy, that we like to be supportive of others and caring and kind. Any kindness acts can be any voluntary act that benefits others and is not motivated by an external reward or being punished because you didn't do it. Then it's not kind. So that's a non-autonomous kind act. So it might be kind to follow the school rules, because not following the school rules causes trouble for other people. But that's a non-autonomous kind act, and that's not going to have as good an impact on your well-being as doing a kind act because you want to do it, because you see a friend is struggling, or you see someone's fell over in a playground and you want to help them, and go see if they're okay and get help, and then you're being kind. And what I think is really important to think about is quite often we'll get contacted to do anti-bullying work or anti-stigma work. And as a coaching psychologist and a positive psychologist, it's always what you focus on grows. So if you focus on taking away the bullying, you're still focusing on bullying. You're still focusing on the behavior you don't want to see. Whereas if we focus on developing positive relationships, positive interactions, belonging, trust, connection, kindness is a way of increasing people's ability to form those positive relationships. If children or teenagers or young people or students or whoever or teachers are kind to each other in their school, notice when someone's struggling, offer help, provide kind acts, listen, are supportive. You don't need to do anti anything because There is this culture of belonging and acceptance and trust, and it's got a ripple effect, and it is contagious, and it self-perpetuates over time. So you don't have to then address challenging behavior or bullying or stigma or people being isolated or excluded, because we have this culture of kindness and compassion and empathy and caring. Can you see what I mean? So it's like if you do this, you don't then have to do things that undo the things you don't want to do, you don't want to see, like bullying. So kindness is a behaviour that involves both pro-social acts and other focused motivation. So it's something that's socially good, but it's also focused on other people rather than ourselves, which is why it helps other people feel good and it helps us feel good. So a child's perspective on kindness. How was a child conceptualise kind acts? I had a look at the research, and kindness from the perspective of a younger child is an act of emotional or physical support that helps build or maintain relationships with others. So a child might think smiling at another child, is a kind act. Whereas for an adult, you might be like, oh, that's standard behaviour. We want them to smile at each other. But because it's a emotional act that maintains, emotion, but builds that relationship with another child, they're going to say, oh, smiling is kind. So helping children to discuss what they think is a kind act and how they know somebody's being kind to them, and what when someone was kind to you, what happened, what did they do, and how did it make you feel, is going to help build this understanding and build this awareness of kindness. And then you just very simply say, and how can you do that more, and how did it help you, and how can you do that more? So you're kind of coaching them through the process of understanding what it means to be kind. So it's explicit, and then implicitly thinking about how are the times that we can do this more? When can we do this more? And then even coming up with some classroom, don't want to say rules, classroom behaviors or classroom ways of being, on being kinder to each other. I mean, it's so simple. It doesn't even cost any money. It just costs a bit of time and a bit of thinking space to have these conversations, which then can really act like catalysts for a lot of other things and contain a lot of other work that you're doing around wellbeing. So young students understand, or young pupils understand and manifest kindness by offering physical help. So helping a student who's fallen over. So go over and help them, providing emotional help, comforting somebody who's lonely or new, or that's if someone's upset about something, or if they've lost something, or you're reassuring somebody. Maybe in a team sport and somebody's feeling nervous, and then another child is saying, giving them a pep talk. That's the cutest thing, when you can see each other and them giving them a pep talk, or saying, oh, when I first started I felt nervous too, but you'll get better and it'll get okay, and just like reassurance. Including others, so getting other people to join in if they're noticing someone's new, or someone's isolated, or someone's is shy. I did a program when I went into a girls' school, and they were talking a lot about noticing when people are shy and then going over and saying hello. Even really young girls, they were like year 1 and 2, and they were like, I notice when someone's lonely and shy, and I go and say hello and I make them my friend. It's just so adorable. But it also helps that child to have a sense of meaning and purpose, and to have good well-being, knowing that they've been kind to somebody else, but also knowing if they were in that situation and how it would feel for somebody to do that for them. This reciprocal act of being kind. Sharing as well. So sharing your equipment, your pencil, your lunch, whatever it is. So anything that's going to help the child either emotionally or physically support another child. To a child, even younger kids, that's what improves well-being. So I remember even being at nursery when my kids were little at nursery, and then you know what they're like, little kids, and then whack them around the head. No, kind hands. And the nursery nurses are kind hands, because that's that physical side of kindness. So yeah, what is it and how can we do it more? That's a simple question to really get children to grasp and understand how to be kinder to each other. So let's move on and talk about adolescence. So a teen's perspective on kindness is a lot more sophisticated, and there are behavioral aspects to it, and there are also motivational factors to it. So what motivates them is different to the behaviors that they do, and you have to have both the behavior and the motivation for it to be kind. What's interesting from this research is teenagers have said, I think this is so nuanced, is it's possible to act kind but not be kind. So you have to, I think for younger children, it's easier to just act kind and be kind. But for teenagers, when they're starting to get a bit more understanding of how things work and how to, I want to say play people, but how to like get what you want out of people and how the dynamics of interactions work, there is an element of doing things because you're going to get something out of it. Whereas if it's true kindness, you're doing it for altruistic reasons. It's because it's not for you, because you know it's going to help somebody else. So it's a kind act that isn't motivated by self-interest. It's a kind act that's motivated by other focused interest. So you care about other people, you're doing it for other people, not for your own self-interest. That is where a very sophisticated understanding of what kindness is. So the kind of behaviours that a teenager would do are social inclusion, again, similar to the younger children, including people that seem to be left out. But for adolescents, it might be more like advocacy or campaigning or activism, because that's going to help, especially things around trans identity or LGBTQ or race or Black Lives Matter or young carers, anything that's about helping people have an identity to feel more socially included, marginalised groups, then that is going to be a kind act, but it might not be something that adolescents might associate as a kind act because it's other person focused as the motivation. So yeah, social inclusion, complementing. I love complementing as a kindness act, and it's something that we teach in our actual coach training program is as a tool to use for improving well-being of young people, is complimenting. And it doesn't have to be, oh, your hair looks nice today, or your trainers are cool, or whatever. It's actually complimenting them on something that you really, really appreciate about their personality. So are they a kind person? Are they a loyal friend? Did they really listen to you? Did they really help you when you were struggling with something? Have they helped you understand a lesson that you found really tricky? Anything like that. Compliment something that's sincere and genuine and usually strengths based. Forgiveness as a kind act. Forgiving and letting go is an act of kindness. Kindness to yourself and kindness to the other person that you are forgiving. Honesty. Being honest with yourself and others is an act of kindness. It's definitely an act of self-kindness, being honest. Proactive support. So, proactively going to offer to support to somebody. It could be in a team. It could be noticing there's a new person and showing them around, or saying, are you okay? Notice that you're struggling with something, whatever. Positive sociality. So, just being outgoing and social and confident and asking questions and asking people if they're okay. This has come out of research by actually asking teenagers how they conceptualize kindness, like what is it and how do they know what it is. And it was a thematic analysis. And I love a bit of voice-led research. So I think that's really interesting that that's come out of that. So the previous developmental research has showed that a smaller range of pro-social behaviours, like I mentioned earlier with the children, such as sharing, helping and comforting. So kindness in adolescence is a lot more sophisticated. So I think when you're thinking about developing a kindness intervention in a school, especially a secondary school or an FE college, then it can be more nuanced and more sophisticated than just stuff that's about sharing, helping and comforting. It can even go into the realms of advocacy or campaigning or activism, charitable giving, anything like that is going to help improve kindness. This is from the research. Importantly, participant utterances suggested the link between behaviour and motivation cannot be severed. Kindness is kindness because of the interplay between the act and the goal that it derives it. In other words, it is possible to act kindly but not be kind, emphasised by the participants' rejection of pro-social acts that are driven by self-interest or non-autonomous. So when you're doing something because you have to do it, because not doing it's going to cause trouble, so sticking to the school rules, wearing a uniform, being on time are kind, but they're not really, because they're not intrinsically motivated by a personal goal that's other focused. So why are kindness interventions so important for improving school well-being? I could talk about this until the cows come home, but basically they foster social and emotional development, and what we know for positive mental health, to feel good, function well day to day and overall, which is the definition of flourishing, which means well-being, is that we need to have good social and emotional development. Being kind and the kind acts, like I've described a minute ago, really do foster that pro-social behaviour. They are the behaviours we want to see rather than the behaviours we don't want to see. It's the opposite of anti-bullying and anti-stigma and all the things that we don't want. So kindness is a way of fostering belonging, acceptance and connection, essential to create that ethos and culture of well-being that facilitates well-being on a day-to-day basis, and it can be contagious and it can ripple out into the community. One of the schools that I work with is primary school, and they decided to do a kindness day, and children all decided all the kind things that they were going to do, and they went into the community and they took chocolates to the local shops, and they smiled at strangers, and they did all these cute things, and people were writing into the school and saying it made their day, and I'll link to the video about that above. But it just really had this contagious effect, not only on the children but the parents and the local community that the school was based in. So do not underestimate the power of this. Also, they are cheap or free to do kind acts, unless you want to buy something to give away to people. But just, a lot of it is listening or talking or communicating or just giving your time and attention to somebody. And that doesn't cost anything apart from time. Encouraging students to perform kind acts is considered positive psychology intervention, or a PPI, which then has a positive impact not only on the children but on the teachers, on the staff and on the school culture as well. When the teacher is supporting the children to do kind acts, it also has a positive effect on them, because they are not only having children that are happier, more able to concentrate, are easier to teach and learn, that they're building this trusted relationship with the child that also helps facilitate their well-being, and it increases the quality of the student-teacher interaction within the learning context. So there's many reasons why kindness is an important wellbeing intervention, but it's simple and it works. And why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want people to be kinder to each other? I'm going to summarise with a quote from the literature, which is by Kerr, O'Donovan and Pepping in 2014. Acts of kindness can build trust and acceptance between people, encourage social bonds, provide givers and receivers with the benefits of positive social interaction, and enable helpers to use and develop personal skills and thus themselves. Through the act of kindness, not only are we helping each other, we are improving ourselves. So if you are interested in finding out much more about kindness interventions and how to do them in your school, then sign up for my discovery workshop on kindness interventions for school wellbeing. I also have an article which suggests loads of practical things you can do, like kindness chains, and where we all write a kind thing and then we make a paper chain and we string it all up and we show how we're all connected to each other. That's a really nice activity. But don't overcomplicate this. It's very simple. How do you know someone is kind? What is kindness? And how can you do it more? Are the three questions. Just spend some time asking those questions to your pupils, and then giving them the space and time to come up with ways to do that more. So hopefully see you soon on another video. I will link to the video of the children talking about the head teacher from the primary school talking about the kindness activities that they did in their school and how it impacted on the school and the local community. And I'll see you again soon.